Hello, everyone. T is here and welcome back. Now, we're starting to learn in this series that delegation is a critical skill for us as business owners. However, it can be a major challenge for us to learn and get into a habit of doing for a lot of reasons. But most of the common reasons that I see are due to concerns of giving up control, or even the lack of confidence in the abilities of others to do the task for us. But as owners, we just have too much to do. And if you're anything like me, it just seems like I'm always buried in work. So there's key things I want you to be getting into a habit of doing. You want to start asking yourself, should I be doing this? And if not, who should be doing it? Should it be passed on to someone internally? Should I hire someone to do it, or should it be outsourced? You want to be delegating tasks to individuals. You want to be delegating tasks to people or businesses whose skills that fit better. For instance, if you're finding yourself doing administrative tasks, such as answering the phones, this is a task that is not efficient to have you as a business owner doing. This is a task that can be better done by another person because it just improves your business efficiency. If it's passed on to another person, it will lessen your stress. It will give you time and the ability to focus on higher level tasks. So if this is your first time or you're new at delegating and you've never done it before, some of the things you may want to consider delegating first, or just start delegating things and getting things off your plate. You want to start looking at recurring tasks, your routine tasks, such as administrative work. May want to start getting those off your plate first. However, like I said, over and over and over again, delegation is an important trait for business success. There are clear benefits of delegating work. And in this video series, Ray is going to continue the Stack of Hat worksheets and discuss a few more guidelines and principles that can help you in this process of delegation and dividing those tasks and workloads so you can start working on important areas of your business. So if you're ready to get started, I'm ready to get started. Let's get started, Ray.
Hi, and welcome back to the Delegating for Success video series. In this session, we're going to discuss the second part of the Stack of Hats worksheet. Now, we had gone through the first few columns, and basically we started with, you as the business owner, as who's currently doing a set of tasks that you've identified that you probably shouldn't be doing, and then we associated that with a specific business function. The goal of that was to create some order. So now you have, the tasks that you've identified that you would like to offload and an associated business function. And the reason for that was to kind of group them into a specific skill set. Because in this session, we're going to further define that skill set that's going to be needed so you can hone in on who should be doing it. And then we'll look at, should it be an in-house employee or should it be outsourced to another company outside of your business? And what's some criteria that you should consider when making that choice? So let's get started. We'll take a look at the worksheet and just kind of point you out to the areas that we're going to be discussing. And then I'll walk you through some of the thought process behind filling it in. So if we take a look at your worksheet, we're on this column that, who's currently doing it, who should be doing it. In all likelihood, it's you that's currently doing it because that's how we've geared this, is to look at you as the business owner and the things that you're doing that you've identified that you shouldn't be doing anymore. So you have, you're doing it. These are the associated group of tasks that correspond to a specific function of your business. Now let's pick on the marketing area because that's one that we developed a little bit in the previous series. And let's look at the tasks that we had involved there. Now the purpose behind grouping these together along with a business function is that they're probably going to take similar skills to accomplish. So when you look at who should be doing a specific task or a set of tasks, you need to identify the characteristics that it's going to take to get it done. And that's why we had you group them together under a specific business function, because in all likelihood, those groups of tasks within a business function are going to have overlapping skills. So potentially you could find somebody that would fit the bill to do all of the marketing function tasks, all of the sales tasks. And the characteristics of such an individual might be things like, categories such as the soft skills, the technical skills, experience. And then also we want to take that and go further into how much time is it going to take? So if you could take each, either the individual task or a set of them within a function and say, for example, in the marketing function, I have 4 tasks that I would like to delegate. And out of those 4 tasks, pretty much all of them require a very similar set of skills. And maybe those skills are things like, creativity. Maybe they take a little bit of experience in that field. Somebody has written some internet ads before or something like that. So you want to quantify those skills. And in the who category right now, you're really going to have those characteristics, and then associate how much time it's going to take with that, and say, these 4 tasks take about 5 hours a week. So now I have 4 marketing tasks that I want to delegate. And they take about 5 hours a week to get done, and we need somebody that has these skills and these talents, and that further develops who should be doing it. We're not there yet, but it develops it a little bit better. Next, you'll do that with each category that you've identified. So if you have tasks that fall into various functions, just take each one of those and develop the skill set that's going to be needed, those characteristics, and associate a number of hours with it, for example. Then you have, as a start, I'm looking for somebody with this set of skills, and I need about 4 hours of their time to get this done in a week. So once you have all of these tasks that you've grouped together, and you have the characteristics that it's going to take to get them done quantified, then you're going to want to move into looking at how you should get that done. So we jump over into that final column, and some things to consider here, or some background on this column, I guess, is, in-house would be either an existing employee or maybe a new hire. And then when I look at outsourcing, I'm thinking, hiring a company that would take on doing, projects for you, or a specific function of your business for you, or tasks. And then you could also consider, I'll categorize it as outsourcing, but you could consider software that might take over and accomplish, taking some of this stuff off of your plate. When you're looking at the option of delegating these tasks in-house, you're really going to be looking at 2 things: either an existing employee, and in that case, you'd have to have somebody on your staff that has the capacity to accomplish the tasks that are in question. For example, the marketing, you'd say, yeah, it's only like 4 hours worth of work, but do I have somebody on my staff that can actually do this and do it well? And can they handle the extra 4-hour workload without taking away from something that is more worth their time? So that's a consideration. Another consideration would be, if you're going to keep something, if you want it to be internal, do you have enough there to hire somebody? And maybe it's even on a part-time basis, but is there enough? And would that individual have the right skill set and all those characteristics that would be able to get all these tasks that you'd like to delegate off of your plate and onto theirs, or the hat off your head and onto their head? So keeping something in-house really has a couple of options. It's going to be an existing employee or a new hire. And then when you're looking at outsourcing, you're looking at, maybe a contractor or another company that you pay to carry out a certain function. And I'll even group in there again the potentially getting some software or something that would fulfill the tasks that you'd like to delegate out. When you make this decision and you try to come up with the best option of, should I use a existing employee if that's an option? Should I hire somebody or should I outsource? You want to look at some different criteria. First would be, one important element is cost. What is it going to cost me to hire somebody, for example? You've quantified the characteristics that you need and the amount of time that it's going to take. So you can look at different options. If I'm going to hire somebody with this set of characteristics, what's it going to cost me to get them on board? And you got to look at, not only the wages or the salary, but also the benefits and the other things that come along with having an employee, and quantify those costs, which is beyond the scope of this session. But there's ways to do that by doing some research and maybe consulting with some experts in recruiting or something like that to figure out what's it going to take for me to get an employee to come into my business for 20 hours or 40 hours and accomplish what I'm looking to delegate. So you have that option. Again, you have the option of the existing employee if the capacity's there, and there's costs associated with that too. You can't just give somebody extra work and expect them to be motivated to do it. You may need to pay them more. You may need to offer some sort of future promotion or something that's going to happen if they do it well. But you need to give it what's in it for them as well. So you can't just say, here's an extra 4 hours to add to your work week, and I expect you to do it, but not get anything else for it. So there's costs associated with that. You need to quantify those. And then once you have, again, these characteristics and the amount of hours, it's pretty easy to go shop around and look for an external source as well. And in that case, so when you're looking at external sources, based on the information that you already have, you can call around and get some quotes. If it's, say, I need somebody to answer my phones, a remote phone service, that's not too difficult to find. Just find out what it would cost, and based on the volume or based on the amount of time that you need. If it's a marketing function that you need fulfilled, you call a marketing firm and say, hey, what is it going to cost me? Could I get a quote for, this, and this? And I need about, this amount of work done per week or per month or whatever it may be. And they'll be able to give you a cost. So now you have one criteria, right? Is it worth hiring somebody or keeping it in-house, or is it worth outsourcing? And there's other criteria too. Cost is one thing, but it's not everything. Some things are pretty difficult to outsource. For example, if you need somebody in your office all the time, it's kind of hard to outsource that. If you need somebody that's going to be sitting at a desk greeting people as they walk in, that's clearly a decision that's going to have to be internal. So depending on the type of talent you're looking for, common things to outsource are accounting, marketing, legal work, data entry, customer service, phone answering the phones, things like that. So there's a number of things that are pretty simple to outsource. You're going to have to judge that against some criteria and weigh the costs, but also the feasibility. Another consideration would be, how much time do you need? If it's 40 hours, maybe it's more likely that you'd want to have an employee do it than pay an external source for 40 hours worth of whatever it is you're trying to delegate. So again, you can see where this criteria and this characteristics of who's going to do it helps you determine whether it should be internal or external. The other thing you need to consider is the future. So where is this going? Maybe there's only 5 or 6 hours worth of work in a specific area now, but maybe 6 months down the road, there will be 30 or 40. So maybe you look at outsourcing it for the short term while you take your time and look for the right person to get full time, knowing that you're going to need them in the very near future. And then finally, maybe you could look at a certain software that could help either eliminate the need for a specific task or shorten down the time frame or reduce the amount of talent that's needed to accomplish it. And there's a lot of things out there that can do that, and there's a lot of different examples, so we won't go into depth, but look at it and say, hey, is this something that could potentially be supplemented with technology, either to reduce the time significantly or reduce the amount of knowledge or talent that's required? Because if you can find somebody that's doing a more simple task, even though it's maybe more complex, but the software supplementing that, then maybe you don't have to pay as much to get that. Okay, so you've taken this, who should be doing it, and you've characterized the things that you're going to need in terms of who, and then you weighed it against some of the options in terms of should it be an existing employee, hire somebody, or should we outsource it to a contractor or company, or supplement with technology? Now, there's more considerations in there that you'll probably come up with as you go through this exercise, but nonetheless, that should have now taken it and honed it in on who should be doing this. And maybe you've identified a company or a set of companies that you're going to call and see if they can take on these tasks at a reasonable price that's going to fit your budget. And or maybe you've come up with the fact that you need to go hire somebody, but you have all the criteria there to go do that. Or you've identified somebody that's already on your team, and you can go work your magic and convince them to take on an extra 4 hours of work or 5 hours of work, whatever it may be. But the key is here, you got who it's going to be. And then once you've identified where you're going to delegate, we're going to walk you through a process of how to make that successful in the coming videos. So that you could take some of the hats off your head, put them on somebody else, they could stay there, and you can be very happy with the outcomes and set you up for success. And you can go focus on the strategy of your business and the things that are going to make you grow. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next session.